It is Rachel here, the Modern Shaman. Pretty Paul, I see you're in here. You're our first person in the live stream. You're always the best student in here, man. You're like right on time. And you already posted your question. Let me see. How do I see the chat? There. Top chat, live chat. All messages are visible. Okay, there we go. Okay. So we're starting out, and I will say, normally on here, I have time to kind of set this up. I was going to do it on my computer. I love doing these lives on my computer, but I had sessions like literally right up until noon. So I got off the phone and I just turned it right on here. So now there's 2 of us in here. Who else is in here? How do I see who's in here? Somebody's here. Now there's 3. Yay! We're coming in slowly for our little party. I love it. So if you are here, say hello to our crew. I always look forward to reconnecting with you guys. And I love oh, Sue! Hi! It's early for you in Hawaii, isn't it? Giselle, you too! You're my 2 Hawaiians representing. Y'all are so dedicated. I love that. Okay. I'm trying to make y'all's messages stay up and stay live. This is our little wolf pack get together. Sue, you've been a part of these before, and Giselle, you too. So y'all know the drill here. As we're coming in, it's been a lot this week. Boodles! Oh, Nora! I'm so glad you're in here. This is awesome. Have you been in our live stream before? I can't remember if you've been in here. Sometimes people creep. Like, I don't know they're in here, but they're like, I'm in here secretly. And then they tell me later, or they private message me a question instead of like asking it up here. But it's all good. This is a great group of people. Okay. So as we're coming in, oh, you've never been in here? Well, welcome. Nora has been a longtime client of mine, so I know her well. So you guys that are in here, y'all welcome her with love because she's awesome. Just like the rest of you guys. Okay, I have to keep clicking live chat. This is what I don't like about the phone instead of the computer. I'm not super techie, so be gracious with me, you guys, because I do these for y'all. All right, so let's get on with the chat. Paul, you showed us how to do it, and I'm going to use you as the example. So if y'all see up at the top of the chat, Paul started with the questions. So this is just an hour of Q&A, and I always try to save maybe 15, 20 minutes at the end of our time together to have a meditation time together. And I just channel those on whatever is relevant in the topic of our time together, if it's healing or if it's a group meditation, anything like that. So the way that you get your question in our Q&A time is you do like Paul did. You start it with a question mark because that helps me identify that it's for me. And then, I'm sorry, someone's texting me at the same time. This is the thing about the phone. You start with a question mark, you type out your question, try to make it brief because sometimes it crops it out and I can't see the whole question if it's like really long. And then I always recommend that you all respond to one another as well as me responding. So I'll just go first come, first serve and answer the questions. It's not like a reading. I'm not doing readings on you all, but I'm just sharing on the topics. So it's more topical, like my YouTube channel. It's topic based, not so much like an individual session or reading. Okay, so let's start. Live chat. I got to go back to it. I have to click it back. Okay, Paul, how do you get into a state where any state aim you want is commanded so fully and went out? So fully in a now's notice, done so in a relaxed way. How do you get to a state, into a state where what you command, that's a vibrational state that you're speaking of. To me, when I hear you, so if y'all all see Preet Paul's question, I was reading it, but kind of reading it frazzled. So it says, and I quote, where am I? How do you get into a state where any state or aim you want is commanded so fully in a now's notice, done in a relaxed way? So to me, that's a meditational space that I would recommend that you get into a higher vibration. To me, that's a 5D or a higher dimensional space. When we talk dimensions, the way that our human body gets there is through brainwave states. This is what monks have been doing for centuries, or those who chant and dance around a fire, who create a trance-like induced meditative state. It is a higher vibrational brainwave state. So the science of that is very brainwave based, and you can do that in lots of ways. Like they literally have binaural beats that will train your brainwave state. They have frequencies that will move into the solfeggio frequencies that are higher and very specific brainwave frequencies that your mind will align with. There is just meditating and setting that intention to be in that higher dimensional state. So directing your own consciousness there and then staying in that. Oh, you say gamma. Gamma is the highest that our human brain has supposedly achieved. So yes, that would be your highest. Am I still here? You guys, I literally just swiped you off my screen. I'm sorry. I love y'all. I promised I wouldn't try to cancel you out. So yeah, I was reacting to your response. It is gamma brainwaves. Theta will work also. Theta is a low 4D and kind of where you're outside of time. 5D is more of the manifestation, so being able to actively create in that space. And that is kind of the lucid dreaming or the astral travel. Those are those realms as well. So that's my advice, is get yourself into that brainwave state and go from there. Great question. Okay. Live chat. And really how you do that, whether it's dancing, I know Preet Paul in previous things you've shared that you like to do kind of the trance dance, which was a lot of the ancients used the practice of dance and stomping and repetitive patterns and ceremonial heat or steams, or so they would kind of activate that extreme pressure on the physical form to move you out into a mental space, and from that space the repetition of that would move you into a trance-like state. So you can be dancing in a repetitive manner, you can be listening to music that's repetitive, you can be moving into a mantra that's repetitive, you can be moving into the stillness or listening to white noise or nothingness or emptiness. All of those that can essentially do the same practice. I would go towards what you feel drawn to. Okay, because that's your easiest link, and instead of trying to train yourself in something that's difficult, right? Yes. Working with gamma light language mixed into dancing. That's beautiful. That sounds fantastic, doesn't it? Like, ooh, that sounds like a like, that sounds juicy. Sounds good. Okay, I'm gonna go back up to the chat. Let's see what we got next. Okay. Hey, Jess. Jessica's in here. This is Rachel. I hate to ask you this. But it's emergency. Do you see me having sepsis right now? Oh, I'm very sick and scared. I'm sorry. I normally don't do readings in there, but I can tell you right now, you do look, you look yellow, like jaundiced to me. So I don't know that it's all the way into sepsis, but it does look like jaundice. Okay, Mama? That's just my quick read. I'm not in your body. I'm looking outside of your body. So we can set up a session too if you want to go deeper into it. Just message me. Okay, love you. Sending you. Y'all all right now, hey, y'all send Jess some healing energy. If you feel led to, I would recommend that you do that, because she just literally said, I'm sick and scared. So send her some peace to alleviate the fear, and send her some healing, wholeness, vibration, strength in the form and the body and the antibodies. That would be beautiful. I know so many of you guys are light workers and literally in the same vein of career and space as me. So do it. Be active with it. Okay. That's what's beautiful about these group connections. Melissa. Hey, Mama. Ah, that's awesome. This is her first time joining us. Northern California. I love Northern California. It's beautiful. I lived in Oakland for a while as a missionary, and then I grew up in Huntington Beach, Southern California. Okay, live. I gotta keep clicking on it, so excuse my arm. I'm like, right here. Okay, Melissa's question says, any tips on breaking free from imposter syndrome and the fears that stop us as we're breaking out as a spiritual healer and teacher? Imposter syndrome. Don't we love titles, y'all? We're so human. We're so human. Like, give it a title. Somebody asked me this. Why do I feel like this is, somebody has asked me this, or I've done a YouTube, I might have it in the YouTube archive. I've been doing that YouTube channel for so long, y'all, I forget all my videos on there. It's been years and years. But all that being said, I think I have either a video on this. Yeah. So the key of breaking free is your honesty. Melissa, I'm going to give it to you straight. Honesty and humility. And so the stuff that we feel like we shouldn't show others, like our difficulties, or the fact that I'm still learning and I'm still human and I may have this part figured out in my spiritual practice, but I don't quite have the relationships figured out, or I don't quite have, I don't know, whatever it is, my hormones balanced, or I don't quite have all of the human stuff that is integrated as a spiritual person. This is a beautiful sharing and connection point with those. So don't ever feel like, you know what it is? I talk about this in my spiritual entrepreneur classes. That's what it is. Because it comes up often when people are like, I don't want to market myself as a spiritual person, or how do I say, I'm a great spiritual person without feeling like that's all ego, or where is that match? And it is within honesty and purity. So flat out honesty with where you are, and that is approachable, that is understandable, and that also is a link that you want with clients. That imposter syndrome of feeling like you've got to have it all together and perfect. Nobody does. Nobody does. Especially those that we put up on that pedestal and we think they've got it all together and they've figured it out. Honey, no. If we're human, we're still figuring it out. I mean, when you read biographies on people, you know, Mother Teresa, and I love Mother Teresa, but you read her biography, she was a tough freaking woman, man. I mean, I love reading her books, and hearing her talk is like, I mean, you know, people would try to give her gifts and she'd be like, I don't want that. You know, she was real harsh and like, like we always think of these people like, oh, they're a saint. They're like so sweet and tender. It's like, no, she wasn't like that. Like, if you know people well enough, the reality sets in. No one's perfect. So accepting that and knowing that gives accessible range with your clients and people, that if you're stepping in being a spiritual counselor or coach, you don't have to be afraid of that. Instead, I think the reality of being real and yet offering your wisdom and offering your advice, that's a place that's very needed. Not someone on a pedestal, but someone that's approachable. And that is something that's really valid in this community as a spiritual, because we're wanting to know how to integrate it. We want to be full-fledged integrated. We don't want to have segments in our life. People aren't like that, right? We don't, if we segment our life, it's not actually, like, we're not living it out. It's not integrated, and it's not healthy to segment those. Like, this is my spiritual day only on Sunday, and then every other day, I'm not that kind of person. So that imposter syndrome, sometimes it's the marketing too, like realizing, and this was a biggie for me, of realizing that I can be grateful for my marketing team and they are good at what they do, but that is not my identity. Okay? And identity is super fluid. Like you are multidimensional. You are all things. So all of that is relevant and none of that is relevant. And I've had people get caught up in my marketing, like, why do you say this and that? And I'm like, that's marketing. That's their thing, and I'm grateful for it. They do a great job, and I'm grateful for that. But in my sessions, when I am with you, it is soul to soul, me and you. It has nothing to do with my marketing. You know what I'm saying? It is soul connection. So when you are doing your actual coaching and you are actually healing or advising or giving wisdom, that is a powerhouse, soul to soul, the deep of the deep that you can get. It has nothing to do with business or marketing, and they're gonna know that if you give that to them. If you are 100% present in that moment. And that doesn't have anything to do with imposter syndrome or whatever title they give it. You know what I'm saying? You are present, you are giving it, and you are full-fledged soul to soul being what they've asked you to be in that wisdom, in that guidance. That's all you can do. That's all you can do. Okay. Great questions. I'm going back up to the next one. And Melissa, I would tell you too, you can scroll through some of my archive of videos and see if any of those kind of resonate with you, or just call your name, because people ask about that pretty often. Okay. Can we meditate at the end, please? And happy birthday to Jude. We have had so much going on. Hey, Oz, you're committed in here too. Man, we've got people from Hawaii on that time zone waking up real early in the morning. Oz, what time is it for you? It's always like middle of the night, isn't it, in Australia? Okay. Let me see here. I'm scrolling. Yes, we will do a meditation. We will. Remind me if I get caught up in talking, because sometimes I'm kind of verbose about stuff and I just talk and talk. Oh, hey, from Japan. Look at that. Look at you guys. I am proud of our wolf pack today, coming in worldwide. Oh, I love working with Japanese clients. I have my Japanese classes that I'm teaching once a week over there, bright and early, like 5 a.m. my time, but like 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. their time. So that is awesome. And they are like the most dedicated students. So wonderful to work with. I've loved it. It's 3 a.m. your time, Oz? Mama, you are dedicated. I love it. It's a beautiful time of night too. Okay. Nora, Boodles Boutique. Your question comes in next. Oh, are we transitioning to the 5th dimension? Some people are. Remember dimensions. I talk about this in my last video. You know, the spiritual community, again, like we love our little semantic lingo. I don't know why we do, but it's like we love this like talk about stuff. And we always hear dimensions and densities and these terms that kind of everyone throws around. Nobody knows really what they're talking about or how they're referencing it, because everybody's talking about different things. But 5th dimension, remember dimensions, they're multidimensional. They overlap with each other. And I talk about this in my video. Like you can't be in the 3rd dimension without also being in the 2nd dimension, okay? This is a 2-dimensional piece of paper, right? For my client session. Don't see his name. That's probably not confidential, but anyways, 2-dimensional thing, right? Flat. And I'm seeing it from a 3rd dimension because I am existing in 3rd dimension. So when we transition into 5th, we still have the observance and the interaction and the full capacity in the 3rd. So some of us are transitioning into that 5th dimensional space. Yes. And this is why I don't know why people are like, I'm afraid I missed the boat and the worlds are separating and our 2 earths are going to be tangent universes. And there's this kind of talk in the New Age community as if we're like literally taking a gummy bear and like pulling it apart, and the head is 5 dimension and the bottom part is the 3rd dimension. And they're like, oh, we're not going to be around our loved ones. I'm not sure where that came from, but I never see it that way from Spirit's perspective. It's multi-dimensional. Dimensions don't even work that way. They don't separate and segment. So, just the same as we can look at a point, which is 1 dimension. If I take my pen and I put a little point right there, you could see a point, but you would see it from 3rd dimension. as a one-dimensional object. So yes, some people are moving into the fifth dimensional space, and that will affect essentially the way that they see things, their processing. It's like being on a 2.0 processing system, right? I'm not a techie person, but kind of that language, right? Like upgrading your system. Now working on those higher systems. So yes, we are. Some are, some are not. And that's also fine. Spirit has no problem with the timing of that. Meaning there's nothing, because we're in the experience of time. Remember, outside of this third dimension, time does not exist this way. Or outside of this earth, time does not exist this way. Because it doesn't in our dream space, right? It doesn't in our meditation space. Even when you zone out, right? Time does not exist in that way. So, all that being said, you can't miss it. So then, Nora, you said, and if we manifest immediately in the fifth dimension, can we bring it into the third? Yeah, it is in the third. It's real. It's in the third. So I talk about that a little bit in the video. That's what I'm referencing the last video I did on my YouTube channel last week. And I shared about that fifth dimensional space. Can we bring it into the 3D? It is in the 3D. That's the thing, is that the caution or the wisdom and discernment used there as you manifest it in 5D, then it kind of percolates. Some of it will show into 3D material form that's more dense. The denser, the faster. So kind of like a coffee percolator, right? You put the grounds up at the top, you manifest the grounds, and it takes a little bit to trickle into the coffee, which is digestible. The same is true when we manifest something in the 5D. It's still in the 3D. It's because it's part of that. They're overlapping with one another. So it already is there. And even in my experience there, I would have experiences in the fifth dimensional space, and that's what would trip me out at first, because then I would come back, I would wake up, and I would feel very just normal human being, and yet I would have the physical, three-dimensional human body reaction that was what happened in the 5D. Like if I was pregnant in the 5D, I would come back and I would have no periods. For real. Like real. Not in my head. Like my physical human body was the same. You see, it's not me different. I'm not a different 5D person, like a little avatar person. I'm still me, still my body, in a different dimensional space. Can you stay with me with that? Does that make sense to you guys? It's hard to language things that are not really three-dimensional. But I'm trying, Mama. Okay. All right. Hey, Sarah. I'm seeing people come in. Okay. I'm going to scroll down for the next question. I'm looking at my time clock here to make sure we have time to meditate. And Brittany, I love that. Okay. Where is my next question? Oh, pre-Paul, I may have COVID. Is that a statement? I don't see a question mark in it. Okay. You want some love sent your way? You love it when sickness helps you to get to greater heights. Okay, that's beautiful. I just saw that statement. I'm scrolling down from Sarah. Oh no, Oz, you're next. Is that right? Yes. Oh no, Michelle. Hey, Michelle. Florida. Look at all these places we have represented. I wish we had a little map here. Okay, you are next, I believe. It says, Michelle here from Florida. Any advice for breaking up thought forms? So I don't know if you have psychic guidelines and boundaries. That's what I preach and teach anytime. Yeah, you're starting there. The beautiful thing about thought forms is they're thought forms, which means they have an ability to shapeshift. You can shift them. I'm not sure what type of thought forms you're talking about to break up. If it's a pattern of thinking, if it's a literal entity, which is personifying, if it's a fear that's personifying into a thought form. When you say form, I see body or entity. And So there's psychic boundaries that can be created there, that you may only interact with higher vibrational beings of the celestial form. Thought forms in a space. In a space. Like meaning you go into a place, a locational place, and then you see them like you're wanting to clear the space, like saging and clearing or extractions. Or is it in your own experience? Sorry, I'm just wanting a little bit more info on that. Thought forms in a space. In a physical space, like you walk into a room. That's the thing about this live. Now I have to wait for you to type it. Oh, okay, yes, okay. All right, so I would just do a clearing. I would do a clearing. The thing with thought forms, if they're speaking to you and they're using your clairaudience or your clairsentience, any of your psychic senses where they're communicating with you or telepathically speaking to you in a physical space when I walk into a physical space. So, all right. So if you have the accessibility, if it's a space that you can clear, I would sage it out. I would go through a saging, literally, and I have a video on that. I can go briefly through it, but you burn sage, you burn Palo Santo, and you have the open door. You start at the beginning, you go all the way through, all of that process of clearing it. And if they are speaking to you in that way, you speak them out. That is by speaking. Say, if they are speaking to you telepathically, then you would telepathically direct them out. And you start always with that firm, if you've, I feel like I always preach the same stuff. You go right into that sense of alignment within yourself, your sovereign authority space. So if you've never done this in terms of psychic boundaries or clearing a space or setting intentions, it's always the same posturing. There's a physical posture of alignment of the spine. This is where someone has a spine. They mean what they say. There's alignment with the body. This is your antenna for higher amplification of your vibration. Just like you see an antenna, right, that is magnifying like a radio antenna. They are straight up, tall and strong, right? So you are in the same space because essentially you're creating that frequency coming out from your vocalization or your telepathic thoughts, which is when we speak internally using our clairaudient voice, our internal monologue voice, right? And when you speak it, you hold that tone of authority. This is typically around 4 hertz when it's been identified and verified, like on a lie detector test, right? This is when we mean it. We're telling the truth. We mean what we say, okay? So they've identified that as 4 hertz. It doesn't really matter, but it's a deeper tone in the voice, right? The mama tone or the daddy tone, the tone where it's like, I know that teacher or my mom means business. You speak to spirit like this. You speak it out into the non-physical like this because this is the alignment with the frequency, so you will have more amplification or power behind what you're doing. So when you clear, you always speak in that tone. And if they're speaking to you and they're manifesting in this way and talking, and you're wanting to break up those thought forms, then you simply say, like, whatever thought form is talking to me must leave this room now. You give them a time frame, or you say, may never return in this lifetime or any other to this space or to any space of my loved ones, wherever it's like bothering you. And you say they must leave out this door, never to return. There's a sense of direction out. You state it just the way you mean it, okay? Just like if someone was trying to come into your house and you didn't want them to come in. No, you're not welcome here now or ever, period, okay? So you speak in that tone and you direct them out. The energy base, so if they're more energy and morphic, then that's kind of the sage. That's like a denser energy when there's a negative energy that's kind of residue from maybe a fight or a death or something that occurred in that room that had a heavy, dense energy. The sage clears all of that residue and kind of gunk that kind of gets stuck around. When we are extracting entities, negative thought forms like that, you'll direct them out typically through that. If you're clairvoyant, then you will hold the visual. Literally like you are pulling them out, or that you will see them directed out, and usually I direct them out the door and then towards the light or the sun. And I'll look at it, like I'll just look straight up to the sun, like that's where you have to go, back to the light, back to the source. They can recalibrate you there. If they fight it, if they're bullies, you say, nope, you're out. It's done. Like, you just hold firm in your sovereign authority. That's the tone that moves them out. Again, when you're in alignment with your words, meaning there's no distortion or friction, it's truth. It's like science. It's a math equation. There's no option for them not to do that. You see what I'm saying? It's not emotional based. It's mathematical. It's energy to energy. And at some point, somebody's going to figure out that equation. I have a feeling that our kind of parascience and parapsychology and all of the quantum realms are going to come up with some sort of energy to energy understanding of when we speak in a particular frequency, how the non-physical responds. This is kind of the awareness of quantum and quantum work, when we see something as a wave versus a particle, and we're directing and influencing how they show up. But all that being said, that's how you do it. Okay. There's quick clearings, and I used to do this with my hands when I'd walk into a space and the energy was just stagnant and stale, and I didn't necessarily feel an entity in there or a particular thought form, but I would just clap it out, or I would do that shaman kind of yell that goes, this like cacophonous kind of sound, or I would like basically like clapping them out, like, get out of here, shooing the energy out, just out the door, go, this is heavy in here, like, get this crap out, I'm done, moving on. And sometimes I'll just kind of snap it out. It's all like, I know what I'm doing, and so it's done. That's the key, is you're clear in your mental mind, and your body and your posturing is aligned, so your mind, body, and spirit are all communicating the same thing. That's the power of using the human form through repetition and ceremony and direction with your own frequency. Okay, great questions. Scrolling down for the next one. Wuthering Heights. Tend to fall in love with the wrong guys and feel like I no longer can trust myself. What to do? Maybe on a general level, this is not a personal reading. Greetings from Germany. Ah, hi! From Germany! Look at all of us. I'm proud of you guys. Okay. First of all, I would clear up that first statement, Mama. Meaning, don't ever say that again. When you say, I tend to fall in love with the wrong kind of guys and feel like I can no longer trust myself. There is, when anger comes to us, when lessons come to us, when we're like, why in the frick did I do that to myself? Why did I make that choice? This is the relevant question of, like, instead of claiming an identity of I picked the wrong guys, no, I work through my karma. I learn my lessons, all right? Glean it. Take some power from that, instead of feeling like I can't trust myself, because essentially what that's doing is claiming a defunct aspect of the self, okay? When really, that may be present, but your takeaway is always up to you, right? Two people can go through the same experience, and one of them is devastated by life, and the other one is incredibly empowered and teaches from that story and empowers others through their story. Same experience, two different takeaways. You are the only one that has control of your takeaways. That's perspective, right? So the maturity and discernment of you has the choice to say, I have learned from many of my life experiences that I don't want this kind of guy. I know what is good for me, what is not, right? I know some boundaries I didn't have before that I'm going to have now. Up front, I got to have this. This is what I know will help me. What I know will help me. Not this is what I do wrong. You get the difference? That is what's screwing with your confidence and your sense of self-trust, because essentially you're breaking it down. Not the man breaking it down or the person breaking it down. It's the perspective you have on you. So believe me, when we go through, and I'm with you, like probably everybody in here could be like, yeah, I made some crazy choices when it comes to love, okay? I know I have. And I'm always on my knees in spirit. I mean, we're all here learning it, right? And growing with every experience. I'm still growing. We're still learning. And I'm still working on trust every day. Working with trust with my relationships, with my kids, with my parents, with my partner, with all of it. And with myself. So this is good. There's nothing wrong with you for learning the lessons. And man, when you've had a tough life and you've been through stuff, you are burning through karma like nobody's business. Or you are learning those life lessons. You are gleaning wisdom and making this life count. That is an empowered perspective instead of the opposite. You get what I'm saying? So work there. Start there and get that muscle going with yourself. Whether, you need to plaster it in front of yourself on your mirror. I mean, y'all should see my mirror. Like I'm like the queen of when Spirit tells me something. When Spirit tells me something, I tell Spirit in my head, tell me that again and again and again. I need to hear that all day. Tell me that. And Spirit will say something and I'll say, when I need that again, give it to me loud and clear. Or shout it at me. I mean, I will always ask for it loud and clear. And then I'll plaster it on my mirror, on my computer, and repeat it to myself, especially when you're breaking a pattern like that. Because a lot of times it's a muscle memory from the mental mind pattern that goes to those self-defeating patterns, right? So first I would work on, what did I learn from that? And really genuinely think about it. What do I feel strong about now that I genuinely feel like I'm a better person because I went through that? You got to glean something. If you're faking that and you're like, well, I'm glad that's over, but you don't have the why did I go through that? What's the wisdom there? You got to glean that aspect of it. And from there, then you can build that sense of trust in the self because you're bridging the sense of me and myself are one. Right? And we together are the strong point here. This is what I know I need in a relationship. This is what I know I want to create as a boundary. This is the strength of the self. And then the next person that comes around, you state that right out front. Whether it's the first date, whatever, if they're gone right away, that's clear. There's clarity in that. That wasn't going to work because you knew from the beginning they didn't have this, or whatever it is. You're stating that, and that's going to make you feel good about being in alignment with yourself. Instead of, I don't really know, and I can't trust myself. Get clear about what you do want and what's important to you. Because that's the trust with, I know that about myself. That is trust in yourself. That is clarity with what you know and what's true for you. And start there. And it will keep kind of building. And then we'll feel like you're not segmented from your own self. It's mostly why, the whys. Why did I go through this? And giving yourself time to process the wisdom from that experience. Sometimes it takes longer than others. Sometimes we know it right away, and then other times we have to work on questioning that with ourselves. These are great questions. Okay. Oz, you're up next. I'm watching my time, y'all. I have 5 minutes until we're going to do a meditation. What do you feel the earth, universe wants us to focus on for humanity at the moment? Unity. I can answer that like that because that has been coming a lot. What does the earth need to focus on from a spiritual perspective right now? Unity. Because you can feel it. You know how you can identify that really easy? What spirit is wanting to pull from our souls? It's because what comes out is the opposite of that. And from that, when we see all these things that are asking us to choose a side, choose a perspective, identify whether you're on this side or you're on that side, and this side doesn't like that side, and this color doesn't like that color, and this perspective doesn't like that perspective. There's very definitive separation. That is just super obvious. Then what is the soul of humanity calling for? Unity, right? In our polarity experience of the 3D, it's very obvious. It's always the opposite of what we see. Just think in polarity, because that's the 3D, right, experience. What's the opposite of that coin? Unity. So any space that you feel like someone's trying to cause separation or segmentation, just be like, I'm on your side. I'm with you. We're on the same side. My side, your side. We're all together. Human side. Love side. Live long and prosper side. Live a good life side. Love side. Okay. All for one. Okay. Let me see if I have time for one more question. Sarah, what would you say, like, what would you say about dreams coming into existence? Dang it, man. This just disappears so fast. Either I am a slow reader or this is fast. I wonder if I can change the setting for how long these questions stay up before they dissipate. What would you say about dreams coming into existence and experiencing them, feeling like deja vu, but remembering the dream? It's not a dream. Just because it happens when we're sleeping doesn't mean it's a dream, right? Oh, I'm seeing David came in here. Cindy came in here. It just popped up. So you can identify, there are visions, there are astral travel and projections, there are visitations from our loved ones or from higher dimensional beings or angels that come in our dream space. There are, just because it happens when we're sleeping doesn't mean it's a traditional dream, right? You know the difference. We do. We feel. You can feel it. You wake up and you're like, whoa, that was different, or this felt important, or there was a message here, or wow, they were like, that was so real, because it is. If we don't trip ourselves up around this, so much of our really psychic experience and multidimensional experience, it's so integrated in who we are. It's so normal. It's just, we already know that. You already knew that dream was not a dream, right? It's like you know it. But in your head, you kind of go, oh, that seemed weird. And you don't really let yourself stay to the fact that, okay, that was clearly a vision. And there was clearly a message there. Sometimes when you are in a paradigm shift like that and you're kind of up-leveling with your timelines, meaning there is a different jump. You're working on your spiritual practice. You're doing shadow work. You're really clearing trauma. You're clearing ancestral issues. And you're doing the work. Like, you're trying to make a difference. You're meditating for humanity. You're being active in that energy of ascension and really aligning yourself with it. You'll have these kind of paradigm jumps with timelines where when this happens, time is super morphic and it's a little trippy. And a lot of times your dreams are like this, where timelines overlap, or where you'll have an experience and you'll be sitting next to someone in waking life. They'll say something, you'll turn around and you'll say, oh, and you'll engage with them and they'll say, I didn't say that. They're on a totally different timeline. It's like, in their world, you didn't say that, and that was very real, and they could take a lie detector test and you didn't say it. And in your world, you heard this, and you could take a lie detector test and it would be completely true. Like, you're on two different timelines in the same material experience. The same is true. So to me, that's telltale of a big paradigm shift where you are vibrationally up-leveling your own personal core frequency, which is good. But you just kind of have to be ready for the weirdness. You know what I mean? Especially timeline warps. Those are kind of strange. Or you'll go somewhere and the time, like, you're like, wait a minute, I shouldn't be able to get there in 15 minutes, but my clock says I got there in 5 minutes. There's time is super warped in those times. And the dream space lately, as the earth has been kind of recalibrating and moving up, has been incredibly vibrant, and a lot of celestial, angelic, galactic interaction. So a lot of timelines overlapping here, a lot of any like lifetimes and things are kind of coming up and showing up in your life, or in your dream space. You're not alone. And I promise you, if you think it's weird and you've been through it, I've probably been through it too. And probably everybody here in this group, our wolf pack group, I call y'all my wolf pack because I always visually see that Mama Wolf, as she's one of my spiritual guides, the wolf. Okay, we got 15 minutes left. I realize I didn't get to all your questions. Some of you asked beautiful questions, and I'm sorry to tell you that I won't be able to get to them today. But if you want me to answer them on the YouTube channel, which is my weekly, every week, usually on a Tuesday, I share a new YouTube video. If you have a question you want me to make a video on, then just send it into my website. So go to themodernshaman.net, and that last page on the website has like a contact form, And then you just type it in there on the contact form, whatever your question is, and you just say on there, this is for the YouTube channel. My assistant puts in a little folder and I just pull them out and just answer them week to week. So that's a good way if you want it answered before next month's live stream. I do these live streams the first Friday of the month at noon on here. I've just transitioned, only a couple months here on YouTube. I used to do these on Facebook, but I have a larger community on YouTube and I like the fact that they retain and archive these. So I moved it over here. So if you're new, I'm so glad that you are here. This is an awesome group of people. And the energy here is really wonderful to be a part of as you're on your path of really trying to integrate a spiritual life into your human experience and have the highest and best life possible, living out what you're supposed to do here for humanity as well as your own soul. So that being said, if you want your question answered before the next month, first Friday, then just send it in on my website. Okay, let's get into the meditation time. Anybody have requests for what y'all want to meditate on? Otherwise, I will channel it. You want to do unity? Because we just had that wonderful question by Oz about what the world needs. And that's what I'm kind of guided towards. We've done some of those before. So let's bring that in. Let's do a unity meditation. I know some of you were also mentioning healing and needing healing, COVID, toxicity in the blood, things like this. So we will add that in. I'll set that as an intention. So I would encourage you, if you've never meditated with us before, I always say this, but I'll say it now. Get on the floor. Get as connected to the earth as you can. So get your butt on the floor, that tailbone, and the coccyx, that is your root chakra point, which is the easiest connection point of grounding with Mother Earth. So if you can get on the ground, if you can get outside on the ground, oh yeah, do it. Otherwise, I would just sit on the floor. I would lay on the floor, but have spinal alignment and connection in your grounding with the earth as we begin. I'm going to drum at the beginning because I have my drum here because I just had a session right before this. So sometimes the sound is weird, so bear with me, but I feel like drumming. So I'm going to tone a little bit at the beginning and drum in. And while I'm drumming, I want you guys to focus on your breathing pattern. So I want to encourage you to align your breath work and your breathing pattern with the drum in a pattern that feels natural to you. Maybe it's inhalations and exhalations. You don't have to do it at the same pace. You may do it, I hit the drum twice, and by the time I hit 2 times, you've exhaled for 2 drum beats and inhaled for 2 drum beats. But I want to encourage you to find some personal patterning to align your life force energy with the life force energy of the drum. Okay. And if I don't say it, I love you all. I sincerely enjoy our time together. So thank you all for being here. And just take a moment to widen your chest posture. So open your shoulders just a little bit further. Open your hands just a little bit further, palms facing the sky, widening of the posture of your hands. And I want you just to move all of your psychic attention into your chest, into your heart chakra. Open that chest cavity wide as if you can break open your ribs and let the energy of your heart, that green, vibrant energy, grow wider than your chest, wider than your chest, wider than your chest, wider than your chest. And just take some elongated breaths here, really wide and open. I am open, wide. My love is wide. Activating your own loving power here. So I want you to circle the energy in your heart chakra in your chest as wide as your arms and your lungs and your ribs, everything open here, shoulders open, as if there's this sphere of energy, of this green light energy. If you're clairvoyant, lean into the vision that you see and get really precise with your vision of this cycle of energy, wide, moving in direction like a blender, strong whirlpool of energy, gathering power as it's swirling. This is your own loving life force energy. And now still, let it come to a still, and then circle it the other direction, ramping up in perfect equilibrium of energy, left to right, masculine to feminine. I am the wholeness of this loving energy. And then be very still. Let the posture of your hands be open wide. Notice the tingling in your palms, your chest, your arms. Super active energy, wide and expansive here. Let it go even wider. Manage your breaths, and as your breaths are growing, let your inhale and your exhale mimic that wideness. Wide and big, wide and big, wide and big. Fully active in your divine and sovereign power. And now I want you, with the simple thought, the simple intention of unity on this planet, unity in the hearts of every soul on this planet, healing peace in every location that is parched and dry and needy and tearful for love and unity. The need to feel companionship, to feel someone there, to feel connection, unity. Let that sphere of energy parch and move like water and liquid into those dry cavities in every heart on this earth. If you're clairvoyant, see it. See it going to each individual. See it going to towns. See it going to people as they're lying on their bed, as they're crying, as they're needing it. See it. And feel, if you're clairsentient, every bit of energy pouring out of your fingertips like lasers, electrically going to everyone who needs it. Be of use. I am of use. I am a channel of this loving energy. All of my power grounded in Mama Earth, coming through my body out to any and all souls that need it. I am divine love. I am divine healing. And watch them receive it. If you're not as strong in your clairvoyance, feel them receive it. Hear, then receive it. Hear the thanks and the gratitude as if a prayer has been answered, a heart has been healed, a miracle has been achieved. Know that that's happening now, 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 now. Happening in your own heart, happening in your neighbor's heart, happening everywhere it's needed. Spirit knows where it's needed. That intelligence knows and is active, and you're of use now. And now you give thanks in the sincerest place of your heart. Thank you for using me. Thank you for letting this energy flow through me. Thank you for letting me be a part of this moment. Thank you for letting me be on this earth. Thank you for the life that I have. Thank you for the air that I breathe. Thank you for the heart that I have. Thank you for the empathic ability that I have. Thank you for the connections that I have. Thank you for this energy that is channeling through my body right now. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And now flip your hands over, palms on the earth. Let your hands be grounded, all that charged energy, let it be absorbed into the earth like water being absorbed after rainfall, soaking it in. Bringing your heart chakra back into your chest. Returning to an energy level that's comfortable and gracious and peaceful on your own form. Take a few relieving breaths here, literally like an audible sigh. Relief and rest. At ease with yourself. At ease with your purpose and the part that you play. Smile. And when you're ready, place your hands together over your chest in prayer position. Just a symbol of completion. It is done. It is received. And all is well. All right. Sending love to you all. I will be back here next month, same time, same place.